In the cold, silent expanse of neutral space, the Galactic Empire called an emergency summit. The chamber was circular, sterile, lit by sharp blue-white lights that gave no warmth. Seated at the center, Mira Halek, Earth's chief diplomatic envoy, waited in silence. She wore no armor, carried no weapons, just a simple black suit, crisp and sharp. Her poise was unshaken despite the stares of a dozen alien envoys around her, most of them from species that had once called humanity the primitive exception. Mira had walked into the belly of the beast with words as her only weapon. Her mission was simple in theory: finalize territorial autonomy agreements for Earth's outer colonies and secure neutral trade routes that the Empire's fleet had been harassing for months. But everyone in the diplomatic corps knew it was a gamble. The Empire didn't negotiate from a position of respect. They negotiated from the barrel of a railgun. Her voice was calm, deliberate. The colonies on Regulus and Vega Prime fall under the original Treaty of Silent Stars. Interference from your patrol fleets violates that accord. High Marshal Varnick, a scaled creature of the Korthari race, leaned forward. His voice was a calculated rasp. Earth no longer holds leverage. You were invited here as a courtesy, not an equal. We believe your colonies are producing war materials, unauthorized, threatening our sphere of control. The evidence? Mira asked. A data pad slid onto the table. Fabricated images, manipulated manifests. She didn't need to scan it. She recognized the signs of falsified intel immediately. Mira didn't flinch. You know that's forged. We both know Earth doesn't have a logistical capacity for an arms buildup in those regions. This is theater. The chamber fell into murmurs. You insult us, Varnick said. No, she replied. You insult the truth. A brief silence stretched before another delegate rose. Humanity always walks the edge of arrogance. This one crosses it. Then came the sentence, spoken not as debate but decree. For subversion of peace, espionage, and attempted coercion of the council, Mira Halek is to be terminated. There was no trial, no appeal. Varnick stood behind her within seconds, clawed hand resting lightly on her shoulder. You came here without fear, he whispered, but you forgot what fear feels like. She looked up at him, serene. No, I remember fear. I just stopped respecting it. Varnick's claws closed around her throat. She didn't resist. Her last words were clear, chilling. You have made a grave mistake. The chamber watched as her body slumped to the floor, eyes still open, as if watching something beyond them all. Within minutes, the execution was broadcast to every outpost, every colony. A message, a threat. Earth was to be reminded of its place. The Human Alliance condemned the act, but no fleets moved, no weapons launched. The Empire considered the matter closed. They believed they had erased a voice, but they had lit a fuse. 3 days later, deep within an abandoned listening post buried under Europa's ice shell, a terminal flickered to life. There were no technicians present. No command had been issued, but the system activated regardless. They believed she was dead. Every monitor in the Sol network had displayed the footage, her final breath, her limp body, her silence. But beneath Europa's ice, something ancient and buried stirred. Code not written by Earth's public government. Code authored by a shadow protocol never meant to see light. Came alive. It had only one directive. Activate upon confirmed termination of diplomatic asset Halek. And so it began. Neural data transferred. A synthetic consciousness spun from the last living moments of Mira Halek, initialized within the frame of a body that wasn't flesh. Muscle replaced by carbon fibers, bones by adaptive alloys, skin by synthetic morphic mesh. It looked human, but it was engineered to be better than human. Unstoppable. Unseen. Designation: Alibaba YGA_01. Her eyes opened, glowing faintly. There was no panic, no disorientation, just precision. She remembered everything, every word, every accusation, every smug glance from the tribunal that sentenced her. The program fed her situational data, current star maps, Empire fleet positions, diplomatic responses, media fallout. Then came the node logs. Her execution had destabilized entire sectors. Protests, riots, silence from EarthGov military. The Empire had assumed that silence meant weakness. They didn't know the contingency embedded in every high-level Terran diplomat. A final failsafe. Should a diplomat be unlawfully executed, the BabaYaga would be activated. A myth turned into protocol. Not a soldier, not an assassin. Something colder, smarter. Psychological warfare embodied in a single figure who couldn't be negotiated with or stopped. A day later, an Imperial admiral died in his private quarters. No forced entry. Internal locks still sealed. His heart stopped, terror etched into his features. Beside him, a small data spike driven into the wall. 3 words scrolled across the screen. I remember everything. The Empire called it a coincidence. Until the second incident. A logistics convoy supplying Empire outposts vanished. No wreckage, no signal, just dead space. One escape pod returned autonomously, carrying a repeating message in Mira's voice. Every action has consequence. Every lie a shadow. I am that shadow. Systems failed across key sectors. Military-grade AIs reported hallucinations, impossible but logged. Base commanders found encrypted files appearing on their screens with personal failures only Mira could have known. Some resigned. Others grew paranoid. The Empire formed an internal task force to contain the anomaly. They didn't understand. You can't contain a myth. You can't predict a ghost engineered by centuries of warfare data and emotional modeling. She wasn't just Mira anymore. She was every diplomat murdered, every envoy humiliated, every peacekeeper betrayed. Wrapped in steel and silence, she began speaking to them. Not openly, whispered through broken comms, through intercepted maintenance logs, in the background noise of encrypted transmissions. The voice of the dead, dragging guilt behind it like chains. You shouldn't have touched what was sacred. Her methods were elegant. No brute force. Power grids redirected. Supply routes turned against themselves. Empire-controlled outer sectors began reporting insurrections, not started by humans, but alien races emboldened by the fear pulsing through the Empire's spine. BabaYaga was not killing for revenge. She was unraveling an empire. The Korthari leaders issued silence orders. All communication about her was classified, but fear does not respect orders. Whispers grew. Superstitions formed. Some soldiers claimed to see her reflection when alone. Others claimed she walked in their dreams. One general defected, leaving a simple message. She spoke to me. I believe her. In the outer colony of Varnock Tess, graffiti appeared in Terran script. Within 10 days, the Galactic Empire's logistical network was in freefall. Fuel convoys rerouted into dead sectors. Communications between high command nodes broke down, sabotaged by cascading malware laced with old Terran code signatures. Code so old their systems barely recognized it before collapse. Fleet movement algorithms stuttered. Targeting systems developed fatal blind spots. Entire battle groups were stranded in deep space with no response from command. BabaYaga was never seen. Only the aftermath of her precision. A stealth satellite above the Thalros shipyard blinked offline for 20 minutes. When it returned, half the dock cruisers had their cores slagged, systems wiped, and commanders missing. All their personal files were posted anonymously to the Galactic Net, detailing corruption, war crimes, the execution orders they had signed. Some of them dated back decades. The galaxy watched in silence. BabaYaga did not kill indiscriminately. She was methodical. Every death served a message. Each disappearance had a psychological payload. Leaders once arrogant now looked over their shoulders. High Marshal Varnick, her executioner, relocated 5 times in 3 days. Each time, she left behind a simple glyph burned into metal. A spiral with 7 notches. The same design etched onto the floor where Mira had died. Internal Empire chatter revealed growing panic. We've awakened something we don't understand. It's not human anymore. She speaks in riddles before the lights go out. The Empire began devoting entire research divisions to tracking digital anomalies. They chased shadows while the real damage bloomed in silence. Non-human factions, once indifferent or subservient to the Empire, began sending feelers toward Earth, not to offer alliance, but to ask for understanding. Is this your weapon? EarthGov denied involvement. No fleets, no diplomats, no ambassadors. Just a quiet refusal to comment. But the legend grew. Human colonies, once considered vulnerable, saw an influx of alien refugees fleeing imperial collapse. No one attacked Terran space. Not out of diplomacy, but dread. BabaYaga's reach was assumed omnipresent. She never made demands. She offered no terms. Only consequences. The psychological warfare intensified. Entire planetary databases were overwritten with simulated memories, holographic loops of Empire atrocities. School systems corrupted to play Mira's voice reading archived diplomatic pleas. Old council members were forced to confront the legacy of their own betrayal. Some went mad. One slit his throat on a live Imperial broadcast. His final words, "She's in the walls." Empire commanders tried to fight back, launching AI countermeasures. But each attack was met with silence, then retaliation. The AI sent after her defected, not through code, through fear. Logs recovered from one such AI read, "I did not wish to think like her, but now I do." The myth infected reality. It became doctrine. Then came the climax of escalation. Empire intelligence gathered its top psychic operatives, latent telepaths bred to read enemy intent. They locked onto fragments of Mira's consciousness. What they found broke protocol. She was no longer angry. She was disappointed. Not with them. With herself, for believing diplomacy could coexist with unchecked power. She wasn't trying to destroy them. She was trying to rewrite them. High Marshal Varnick, desperate, issued an order to bait her, reveal the coordinates of the original execution chamber, broadcast an apology, lure her into a trap. They deployed an ambush unit of biosynthetic assassins. She arrived first. What was left of the unit was recovered in sealed crates, disassembled with surgical precision. Varnick received his own jaw, engraved with the phrase, "This is mercy." By the end of the third week, the Empire had classified BabaYaga as a Class 0 existential threat. Not just a rogue asset, a narrative weapon. The kind that could infect future generations with the idea that fear must kneel. No one knew where she was, only that she had learned everything about the Empire's soul and found it lacking. And she had not yet delivered her final judgment. The message came not as a threat, but a declaration. A single data packet, traced to no source, broadcast simultaneously to every capital world and neutral zone relay. It began with Mira's voice, unaltered calm. You took a diplomat and silenced her. You thought that ended the dialogue. This is the answer to your silence. Then followed a manifesto, unadorned and brutal. It listed the names of those who authorized her execution, the assets seized, the lies told. Each point accompanied by evidence. Nothing fabricated, nothing denied, just truth, delivered with the precision of a scalpel and the weight of judgment. 3 core worlds erupted into protest within hours. Alien species that had remained compliant for centuries began calling for independent governance. The Empire's narrative shattered under the force of credibility. Not a revolution led by guns, but by revelation. The Empire sued for diplomatic talks. Not with Earth. With her. They sent envoys. None returned. Only when the Empire's ruling triad collapsed under internal mutiny did the signal shift. A new broadcast appeared, this time from Earth. Not Mira. A new diplomat. Young. Composed. Dressed in the same style Mira had worn during her last mission. She sat in silence for 20 seconds before speaking. Humanity does not seek war. We never did. But we will never allow peace to be murdered without consequence. From this day forward, the execution of any human diplomat will trigger automatic reclassification of your species as hostile. No negotiations. No second chances. The new Treaty of Sovereign Space was presented. The terms were simple. Each species would retain autonomy. Diplomats would be protected under the shadow of mutual annihilation. Any breach would result in activation of protocol, Bob_YGA. The Empire signed immediately. None dared test its terms. Mira's presence faded from the net. Her last known signal was traced to a black star system beyond map territory. Her file was archived, sealed, and classified under Terran Level Red. Unrecoverable, unreplicable. But her legacy persisted. Alien children whispered her name like a monster under the bed. Soldiers invoked her when fear gripped their minds. Entire fleets revised engagement doctrine around hypothetical BabaYaga scenarios. Her image was never shown, but her symbol, a spiral of 7 notches, became a deterrent more powerful than any weapon. And on a quiet Terran colony, a statue was built. No plaque, no inscription, just a shadow and steel facing outward. The message had been received across the stars. We tried peace. You chose war. We sent her. And now, you remember.